holes that lead to hell itself, lost cities, giants. These are 5 excavations where mysterious and terrifying things were found. Number 5. Strange mysteries of a lost tomb in Egypt. Located on the west bank of the Nile River of Egypt, just opposite of the city of Luxor, it's a dusty valley called the Valley of the Kings, also referred to as the Valley of the Gates of the Kings. While at first glance it may seem to be merely a stretch of arid desolation, it is home to a great necropolis of ancient tombs that served as the burial sites for numerous pharaohs and nobles between the 16th to 11th century BC. The most famous being the tomb of King Tutankhamun. The Valley of the Kings contains 64 known tombs and chambers of various shapes and sizes, but one of the most recently found tombs has proven to be quite puzzling. In 2005, a team of U.S. archaeologists from the University of Memphis, led by a Dr. Odo Shaden, decided to excavate the ruins of 19th dynasty workmen's huts at the entrance to a tomb called KV-10. While digging under the hot desert sun, they quite by accident discovered a previously unknown vertical shaft that they had somehow missed. The team was able to follow the shaft 5 meters down into the earth to a massive door made of stone blocks, which at the time seemed to have never been opened. It was truly exciting at the time, as this was the first new tomb found in the valley since the historic discovery of the tomb of Tutankhamun in 1922. So when the door was opened, the team found something unbelievable. 28 enormous storage jars with clay seal impressions and 7 coffins, one of them seeming to be child-sized. Some of these mysterious coffins had yellow funerary masks upon them, while others had black funerary masks, as well as some inscriptions, including the name used by Tutankhamun's wife, Ankhesenamun. Indeed, this, plus the architectural style and bits of text found, suggested that the chamber was contemporary with the time of Tutankhamun. However, when the coffins were opened, they were found to not contain any human bodies at all. Instead, they held within in them an eclectic mix of mummification gear, including natron, wood, pieces of broken pottery, small animal bones, pieces of twine rope, and papyrus. There was a deliberate purpose to all of this. But what? At the time, no one had a clue, and it remains just one more mystery of ancient Egypt lost to the mists of time. Number 4. The Hidden Fossil. Our next story took place in 2014 in the village of Lial en Dodon, about 70 kilometers away from Toulouse. There, a farmer who was working his land found the skull of an animal that looked like an elephant, but was undoubtedly not one. Fearing that the discovery would cause his land to be trampled by amateur fossil hunters and journalists, he decided to keep it a secret. However, in 2017, he approached the town's Natural History Museum in order to inform the staff about his discovery. Distrustful, a team of experts went to his farm and, to their surprise, identified the fossil as Gompotherium hyrenacum, an elephant relative that had 4 tusks of approximately 31 inches each, 2 in the upper jaw and 2 in the lower jaw. This species is painfully rare in the fossil record and known only from tusks found 150 years ago in the same region. Now that the scientific community possesses a complete skull, we will be able to obtain a clearer image of the anatomy on this Pyrenean mastodon species. Number 3. A Lost City. So far, the city of Utisha just existed in the imagination of many. Evidence of its existence had never been found. It was known only from an inscription found in Nimes, another ancient city in France. No one had ever found archaeological evidence to corroborate such writings. For some time, researchers suggested that Usitia was modern-day Usus, a town north of Nimes. In 2016, plans to erect a boarding school at Usus prompted archaeologists to sweep the area. Fearing that new buildings could forever cover the lost city, excavations began in earnest. Sure enough, they found Usitia. By the 2017 excavation season, the area uncovered had reached 4,000 square meters and revealed immense structures. Apart from an entire network of buildings, archaeologists found several mosaics that were part of the floor of a building of about 250 meters square, very well preserved. They show a duck, an eagle, an owl, and a fawn. In the same room, there is also a large column, which has led to the suspicion that it was a public building or the home of a resident of high social standing. In addition, archaeologists began excavating another area covering 1,100 meters squared, where they found remains of ancient and medieval occupations, including 2 roads and an intersection that was abandoned in the early 2nd century, finding indications that the area was probably occupied again in the 5th century. Number 2. Hell. The lakes, forests, fog and snow in the Kola Peninsula make this place located in Russia look like a fairy tale. Amidst the natural beauty, however, lie the ruins of an abandoned Soviet scientific research center, and in the middle of the nearly crumbling building, a heavy, rusted metal cap embedded in concrete that some say is the entrance to hell. In the second half of the 20th century, while all the attention was focused on the space race between the United States and the Soviet Union, Soviet geologists decided to look down and put forward the idea of drilling into the Earth's crust to see what is hidden in the bowels of the Earth. Knowing that the Earth's mantle allows us to learn more about how our planet behaves and to better understand natural phenomena such as volcanoes and earthquakes. Thus arose the Kola Super Deep Borehole Project, which consists of several holes in the Kola Peninsula that were drilled over several decades. Kola Super Deep Borehole is actually the main hole from which several smaller holes branched off, one of them being the deepest in the world and named Kola Super Deep Borehole SG3. From 1970 to 1989, a depth of 12,262 meters was reached. For this purpose, a drill was used that extracted material as it advanced. However, it took several decades of work to reach these 12 kilometers. The excavation of this infernal hole ended in 1989 because the temperatures inside the Earth were so high that they prevented the workers from continuing with the excavation. These 12 kilometers deep were about 1/3 of the Earth's crust, and with it, many geological advances have been achieved thanks to the study made on the Baltic Shield, the name given to the crust of the Earth in that area. It allowed a better understanding of the physical and chemical composition of the crust, as well as the possibility of creating better tools to study the planet geologically. Number 1. The Mysterious Giants of Castleknow. A pervasive feature of the myths and legends of many cultures all over the world is that of giants walking among us. Here we have colossal beings roaming the land to tower over all in their path, and it is all very intriguing and awe-inspiring. Yet, these stories have often been taken to be more than mere legend. Peppered throughout history, there have been those instances of actual remains of these hulking beasts being found. And one of the most curious at the time, a skeleton of a giant was allegedly found in France, which then made its way into scientific journals and can have constituted real evidence that these creatures were more than myth. In the winter of 1890, the French anthropologist Georges Vacher-le-Lapouche was at Castelnau-le-Lay, a commune in the Occitanie region of southern France near the city of Montpellier, for the purpose of studying its ancient Bronze Age burial tumults. Lapouche uncovered a large number of human remains there, but among the normal-sized human remains were those from an individual who would have towered over others at the time. Indeed, the discovery was completely groundbreaking, because if true, it would be by far the tallest human being ever known, a real giant measuring about 3 meters high. The remains were sent off to be studied at the prestigious University of Montpellier, where they were supposedly examined by a professor of zoology by the name of M. Sabatier and a M. Delèche, professor of paleontology. Then, the bones would further be studied in 1992 by Dr. Paul-Louis André-Quiénet, professor of pathological anatomy at Montpellier School of Medicine. But the story became even more interesting when a group of workers digging a water well in a prehistoric cemetery near Montpellier found several skulls that exceeded in size the bones found at Castelnau-le-Lay. As we have said before, if these bones were for real, we would be facing one of the greatest discoveries in history. But apart from a few newspaper articles and a couple of analyses, no one else talked about this finding. Worst of all these bones disappeared. So if there was any hope of knowing if giants once walked the earth, now we have nothing left. History and science have shown us that we should never throw in the towel. Over the centuries, many more bones have been discovered that could confirm the theory that giants walked the earth. Would you like to know them all? If so, don't miss our next video.